all of that, somehow I managed to go back to school, and then at night I went back to school for my master's degree in teaching, did that. I loved that. That was such a passion of mine, being with kids, and I thought I just had this radar for kids who were suffering in pain somehow. Something was wrong, and they were immediately at my side, or I was just kind of looking for them in the hall. Just somehow met up with them and would start these guitar groups and everything, and then my family, and just there were a lot of good things and love that got me through a lot of things, but still just not knowing what was going on. The main thing was just this numbness I couldn't describe to anyone, and it got so bad that after several doctors couldn't tell me what this was, that I was looking at myself outside of my body. And after I looked at a checklist of what this was, it was just something somebody finally gave me 7 years ago. Like, check these things off. It was literally every single term, every single symptom of PTSD, and I've been diagnosed under everything under the sun. So unfortunately, which is common, I guess, among a lot of people, and what I've heard here, my alternative to ending my life and just getting out of this torture that I couldn't tell anyone was self-medicating. It wasn't for pleasure, it wasn't for partying, it was that I'm either going to do this for these symptoms, or I'm going to be dead, because that was my overriding thought. But I had a lot of good support, and I'd say I did, kind of well, up and down, hiding these things, because I did have a lot of passion in my life for teaching and kids, and unfortunately, that kind of went away. And then, because I didn't have the right, clinical treatment, therapeutic treatment, the biggest crisis of all happened wasn't my parents dying. Every single symptom I ever experienced, running out of a classroom because I didn't understand a math application, and the teacher saying, "What's wrong with you? Why don't you understand that?" And I already thought, since I was 5, how stupid I was, that I would run out, change my major literally every other week. My advisor, my sister would have to call my advisor, because I call her from the phone booth crying. I don't know what X minus 4 is, and the function of, and I just look back at all these things, and I would say the happy part was getting this correct diagnosis. But the biggest crisis, why I'm here, and how I believe everything has a meaning, and there are no coincidences, but the people who've known me the longest in the professional field who are here today, it was being in the worst state of my life and being just so depressed and suicidal, and I couldn't get out of that. And mainly it was from not working and my identity, and avoiding all my friends that were like, "Why aren't you teaching anymore? I thought you became an EMT." "Oh yeah, because by the way, I was sober for 3 years and wasn't working." So I went back into this huge depression. And there's no way out of that. It's a vicious cycle. And you already feel shame from everything from the past. It was, nobody could talk me out of that. So this crisis wasn't as bad as everything else, and burying my parents, any kind of symptom. It was seeing 3 police coming at me out of nowhere, and feeling my arms being pulled behind my back, and I'm under the influence of 2 different medications I had mixed, and feeling more helpless than I had as a 5-year-old, looking at what I had no power to control at that point, and going in and out from the past to the present, and was so unreal. I couldn't describe it to anyone. And the terror and being alone and being told I was under arrest, and the pain of feeling these handcuffs in my back, and my friends from the side and being told, stand back. And basically, I think for a female with PTSD, having 3 men approach you with guns really isn't probably the healthiest situation. But then I was brought to the hospital. I really didn't get the best. It didn't get any better from there. I won't go into detail, but I'm looking at so many good things came out of this, but I did not think I was going to survive after that, because after that hospital stay and after that trauma, I was psychotic, I was suicidal, I was what every one of those people in the hospital told me I was, and told me, we don't want to hear your story, you did this to yourself, this is your fault, we don't want to know about any of that, and telling me I was psychotic, and I was just having a regular conversation with them like I would my student maybe 6 years ago. And all that's going through my head is, how am I going to survive this? I'm not. I'm just not going to survive it. My family, the hell they went through watching me when I came home, how erratic I was, and how much more self-destructive I was, and what I consumed on a daily basis just to block out this every living moment of what happened within a week's time. And I'm just proud to say I'm standing here because somehow this all came together, I believe, for me to find the right treatment place, be in a place that there were people so committed to my recovery, and witness probably just, I would say, most embarrassing my behavior ever that my sisters ever witnessed my whole life. But just having like the best therapist in the entire world, the PROS program where I've gone for the last 3 years, and that team of professionals I've never seen in any school I worked in, any job. I look back at my social security statement. I had actually 70 jobs since I was 12 from delivering newspapers. And referring back to Kathleen and the other doctor there, I wanted to work. That is what made my depression so bad. And went to become an EMT, once again, to help people. And it was just, you get this hopelessness, like, I've done everything, I give up. And that's what I would keep repeating in my groups, I give up, and to my doctor. And nobody ever just shook their head like, oh my God, I can't deal with this anymore. And you know what, I actually challenged that. I wanted people to do that, because that was my root behavior of defense mechanism. I want you people to kick me out, because I don't want anyone to care about me, because that was my core belief, even though I had a family I knew loved me so much. But learning all of my symptoms, and just also to be able to change the whole terminology, I think, being my goal now, not to focus on mental illness, but the mental health part, because that's what needs to be really the driving force. And my biggest ally from the day I walked in there that I just automatically connected with was a peer specialist, Lynn from Putnam Family, and she just inspired me so much. I never heard anything about that. I never heard anything about coping skills. I didn't know any skills at all. And they were saying, okay, you learn this, learn that, and I was so combative, like, yeah, right, that's gonna work, yeah, that's gonna work. And I was never judged for relapsing, because they understood that whole disease model. They go hand in hand, and just understanding the PTSD and what my therapist was able to explain to me, but not tell me, here's what's wrong with you, here's what you gotta do. She knew what to say, but more importantly, she knew what not to say. I had an entire clinical treatment and therapeutic team that I've never seen anywhere in any business at all. I'm not getting paid by them either. Allison, I'll get my check later. But I just want to stress, that's what it takes. It takes just one person. And I had that in my family. That wasn't enough after a while. I couldn't even go on for just them. And this team of people would recognize my symptoms, even though I was so combative and would have meltdowns that then would make my symptoms even worse, because the shame of me actually showing emotions I'd shut down for decades. So I'm really happy that from that I ended up taking all my peer counseling classes. I recently just started working with Mental Health Association. It was kind of a reverse psychology trick that my therapist and case manager and everybody there who was so in my corner was like, yeah, go, you can do it. new therapeutic treatment. I have no idea how I walked into that interview when a month before I was like, still having meltdowns. But I know from that day, I just started feeling better, and those little sparks of hope, and that overriding theme of just that hope. Not totally better, and I'm just happy that I understand this thing comes and goes, and you just need that one person in your corner who's never gonna give up on you. Still have boundaries. I learned that the hard way. I didn't know what boundaries were. Storming into my therapist's office. What do you mean you're canceling my appointment? I learned what that was related to, and then was able to say that it embarrassed me. I never said that to anyone in my life. So I can't thank them enough. My family can't thank them enough. And just the friends I've made, and Kathleen, I've only known a short while, and just, I feel like I've known her my whole life. To be able to go to a job, even 4 hours a week, which I'm not even getting paid for yet, but I soon will be. It's a volunteer right now. That's a whole other situation. But just everybody, from my case manager, I know I'm going over and want to give me the hook, but I can't stress enough that I don't think it was that long ago that I really just was ready to give up. And slowly but surely, that person just instilling these things because they're so knowledgeable and informed in this area. I needed somebody who knew about PTSD and also the co-occurring thing, and to reduce the shame, and just, as she described it from the beginning, just to start to peel away stuff. And I've told her this a million times, and I go in and talk my head off to anybody who will listen when I'm doing well and in a good mood, that they've done what I can't even describe in words, and I'm hoping that I can, the best way I can reinvest, the way they invested in my recovery is to be on these crisis intervention teams, change legislation, go to the next 3 NIAPRIS legislation days that I didn't know about until my peer at Rose told me about it. And I just wish that every place had something like this. I wish I had this when I was 15 years old, but I don't regret it because I think it was all meant for a reason. And just kind of to close, I say, beyond having that one person you're accountable to that you know cares about you, it's even greater to have an entire team that works together. My psychiatrist, the nurse, the people call and say, oh, I need to change my appointment, and they know me. And, it's just, it takes a while. You have to build that relationship. I never thought I would trust anybody in my entire life. And I just think every every county needs a place like this, and I'm hoping I can go to Albany every year and just drill this in, and I'm hoping that I can spread that message, and then just finding forgiveness for anybody who did any harm to me. The term radical acceptance that was drilled into my head from these DBT groups, that saved my life from the very beginning with these groups I was in. And just when I do struggle the most, the best coping skill I have is I envision the end of a movie and its famous line, here's to George Bailey, the richest man in town. And if one person has a sense of purpose, meaning, friends, and a job, ultimately hope, then it is a wonderful life. So thanks for letting me go a little over. Thanks to all those people that are here today. I can't say that much.
So how incredibly brave to be able to get up here and really talk about and it's also really cool is I didn't go over with them as much as I think Trish wanted me to. She'd call me, could you look at it? I didn't know what they were going to say, but what they said mimicked everything that we heard today. So this shows the truth in that it's not going to go ahead to confer and say, what are you going to say? At least you're saying the same thing. That ultimately that is what works, having the hope and having the belief, having the relationship and the investment in time. We heard it from doctors and from peers.